Hola chicos. Ok, soy yo, la profesora Sherry, otra vez. Okay, so this chapter has some pretty easy vocabulary, a lot of the sports, okay? Those are a lot of cognates like basketball, right? Sounds just like the word in English. El hockey, right? Same thing. But you have some irregular verbs in this chapter. So we already had the video about the verb ir and ira plus the infinitive, but all of the verbs that you're going to learn in chapter 4 are irregular, okay? So now we're going to talk about the three main types of irregular verbs in Spanish. We call these the boot verbs or stem changing verbs, or sometimes people call them the radical change verbs. I call them the boot verbs, and I'm going to show you why here in a second. Like boot, like as in a shoe that you wear. Okay? So the three main types that you have are your E to IE verbs. Okay? Those are on page 121, 122. O to UE verbs, same page, and then E to I verbs. And then at the very end, we're going to go over the go verbs, which are like the verb tener, like yo tengo, okay? That's why we call them the go verbs. So these are your primary irregular verbs in this chapter, okay? So remember, E to IE, that's your most common, O to UE, and then you have a few E to I verbs, okay? All right, so this right here, if you look at page 121 in your book, you have the verb empezar, okay? So empezar means to begin, okay? And you'll notice it has three syllables. Empezar, right? Empezar, okay? If you have a three-syllable word and you have two E's, how do you know which E is the one that changes? Well, it's always going to be that middle syllable, always, siempre, okay? So your E will change to an IE. It's just an irregular verb, just like we have irregular verbs in English, right? I buy, I bought, right? So we don't say I buyed, it's just an irregular verb. We have to accept it, we memorize them as a child. So it's the same thing you have to do when you're learning a foreign language as an adult, okay? So, empezar, to begin, okay? Yo empiezo, okay? So notice your E changed to that IE in the yo form. And notice I have this line drawn around all of these forms that have the stem change. If you notice this nosotros form here, it's just regular, right? There's no stem change there. So, yo empiezo, tú empiezas, okay, the IE. Él, ella, usted empieza. And notice how it sounds. Empiezo. You're pronouncing both the I and the E. Empiezo, empiezo, empiezas, empieza. Nosotros empezamos, right? No stem change. So it is outside of the boot. That's why I call them the boot verbs, because you can draw this ugly looking boot around all of these if you conjugate them out this way, and you're going to know this one is regular, no stem change, okay? So, nosotros empezamos, we begin, empezamos. Ellos empiezan, okay? And again, you go back, it's inside that boot, you go back to the stem change, all right? So, that's an example of your E to IE verbs, okay? So, if I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to choose another verb, because I want you to see that basically all of these operate in exactly the same way, okay? So, I'm going to choose another E to IE verb. These are all on page 122. So, I'm going to choose the verb pensar, to think, right? Pensar. So here, it's just E changes to the IE, okay? Now, one thing I forgot to mention earlier when we were doing empezar is notice that empezar is also an AR verb. You still have three types of verbs: AR verbs, ER verbs, IR verbs, okay? ER, AR, IRs, okay? Those endings are the same. Remember, this is your infinitive. This is your stem. This is your ending right here. Okay? If it's an AR verb, it's still going to be o, as, a, amos, an. If it's an ER, it's o, es, e, hemos, en. Right? Same for your IR verbs. same patterns, okay? Nothing there has changed. The only thing we're changing is this little layer where you have an irregular stem on your verb, okay? So, pensar, yo pienso. Notice that change. Escucha. Yo pienso. Pienso. Okay? Tú piensas. Right? Irregular, but it's still an AR verb, so you have your AR ending on it. Él, ella, usted piensa. Nosotros, it's outside that boot, so what's going to happen? Good. Pensamos. Okay? Notice it's regular. Nosotros pensamos. Okay? Ellos piensan. Okay? So notice, AR verb, your endings are the same as they were way back in chapter 2. Okay? Your endings don't change. Your endings only change depending upon your subject. Yo with the O. Tú with the AS. Él, ella, usted, just with the A. Nosotros, amos, ellos, han. This part in the middle here is now what is changing. Okay? See? So, I'm going to erase this. And I'll do one more that is not an AR verb. Okay? So, I'm going to do querer. Okay? Okay, so it's got that E, okay, E's changing to the I, but it's an ER verb, okay? So, yo quiero, okay, if you remember the old Taco Bell commercial, yo quiero Taco Bell, okay? Yo quiero, tú quieres, okay? So notice the only difference here is that you have this E to IE stem change, but it's an ER verb, so instead of an AS like you had with the first one, now it's ES, okay? Yo quiero, tú quieres, él, ella, usted quiere, nosotros queremos, okay? Ellos quieren, okay? So notice there, we have the same pattern for all of the verbs that are E to IE verbs, okay? But just remember, if it's an ER ending, use your ER endings. AR, use your AR endings, okay? Same with IRs, okay? So there's your verb. Querer, which means to want, okay? Yo quiero, tú quieres, él quiere, nosotros queremos, ellos quieren, okay? All right. Now, let's go over one of your E to IE verbs, okay? So in the actual book on page 125, we have the verb pedir, okay? I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Let's do an O to UE verb first, okay? So, in the book, you have the verb dormir, every college student's favorite verb, which is an O to UE verb, okay? Dormir means to sleep, right? So that O right there is going to change to a UE, okay? We're going to draw our boot, okay? Yo duermo, tú duermes, okay? Notice it's an IR verb. Él, ella, usted, duerme. Okay, nosotros, it's outside of that boot, okay? Dormimos, okay? See, notice it's the same way that it is in the infinitive. It's an IR verb, so you have your IR verb endings, okay? And then here, back inside the boot, ellos duermen, okay? Yo duermo mucho, okay? Or no dormimos mucho, okay? It depends on your subject. Yo duermo, nosotros dormimos, okay? So, all of those O to UE verbs that you see on page 122 act exactly the same way as this one, all right? So if I give you an example, okay, so we have the verb volver, which is just another way of saying return, okay? It is an O to UE verb, okay? So that O is going to change. This one is an ER rather than an IR, so you're going to notice one difference, right? But it's yo, first I'm going to draw my boot, okay? Yo vuelvo, tú vuelves, él y usted vuelve, nosotros volvimos, okay? So the O stays the way it is in the infinitive, and the I, okay, or I'm sorry, volvemos, oops. Lo siento, mi error, okay? Volvemos, okay? So it's an ER verb, so it's going to stay the way it does in the infinitive, okay? Dormimos, because it's an IR verb, volvemos, okay? And then ellos, ustedes, vuelven, okay? So volver is an O to UE verb. Yo vuelvo, tú vuelves, él y usted vuelve, nosotros volvemos, ellos, ustedes vuelven, okay? All right, so those are your O to UE verbs. All of those verbs listed on page 122 follow that exact same pattern, okay? And lastly, let's go over to page 125, okay? And we have the example pedir, okay? This is an E to I verb, okay? But again, these are still boot verbs, okay? Pido, pides, pide, pedimos, outside of the boot, remember? So it goes back to that regular form, pide, okay? So, to ask for, yo pido extra crédito, or algo así, okay? So, that is that same pattern, only some are E to IEs and some are E to Is, okay? Now, some of these verbs that you have